I'm delighted and honored to kick off Alison Rector's Silkscreen slideshow with a few words of introduction. I've known Alison's work for many years now and included in several art surveys, most recently Art of Penobscot Bay, written with my brother David. I've always admired her sense of place, be it the humble Soamesville Library, a Maine train station, or a room in Northport ready to be swept for spring. I can easily conjure up specific paintings, the loading platform for the Peaks Island Ferry, a line of washing machines, a hovering hummingbird, a bedroom lit by a single lamp. Today, Alison will share another body of work, one which runs parallel to her paintings, the silkscreens she has been creating each year since 1990. These silkscreens have been her way of marking the approach of the winter solstice and a way to connect with family and friends. The images relate to moments and scenes in Alison's life, many of them connected to encounters on the Maine farm that she and her husband Eric managed in Monroe. The silkscreen prints became a way to document a new experience of a couple of city folks finding themselves out in the country. I was going to say something about Green Acres, but it's not like that. Rector has collaborated with poets Bruce Pratt and Martin Steingesser. It makes sense. Her prints have a lyric quality that calls for poetry, whether it's a deep winter night sky covered by an indigo blanket of stars, a supermoon eclipse, or a bird's nest uncovered one day while scything grass on the farm. Whatever the inspiration, Rector has the ways and means, the eye and heart to bring it to life. Looking back on 35 years of making her silkscreen prints, Rector has noted that when she was in the act of creating them, she didn't necessarily see the whole progression. She has embraced this opportunity, the opportunity of this exhibition, to revisit the work as, quote, a wonderful record of life lived and things seen. As she stated near the end of our conversation back in March, it makes me feel very lucky that I've had the life I've had in Maine. And it makes us very lucky to have this artist share her art. Alison.
Oh, thank you, Carl. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And thank you all for being here. I'm just so touched that you come out in this weather from near and far and to be with me. So this, I wanted to give you a little idea of what's going to happen today. I'm going to talk a little bit about my silkscreens, and for a lot of people, silkscreens are kind of a mystery. What is it and how does it happen? So rather than talking about the content of what my pictures are about, I want to really show you how I make one. And Carl, we had a nice chat on the phone a few days ago. We're hoping this will be a little bit of a conversation. Carl will jump in and comment on some of the pictures, and I want to make sure to have time for you to comment or ask a question if you want to. And then at the very end, when I'm all done, and we're done chatting, I brought my silk screening materials with me, and I'm going to actually be pulling a print here. And I understand some of you have to get going, but if anyone would like to stay and try touching the squeegee and printing a print with me, I have a new world premiere print that nobody has seen that I made for this show. And if you guys want to try making one, you can take that home with you, and you can feel what it feels like to do the printing. So Carl, thank you so much. I'm so honored that Carl has followed my work and written about it through the years. And you're just such a treasure for artists in Maine and beyond. And it's just such an honor to be seen and celebrated. You know, we sit in our studios writing and making artwork, and you wonder, does it go out into the world? And when anyone says, I see it, that's what it's all about. Yeah. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I really felt like that's always been my goal, to make art seen.
Yeah.
Tell people about it.
Yep.
Make sure.
Yep. Somebody said to me at the opening here for this show, this spring show, the other night, said, wish we could have 5 Carl Littles.
Well, that's a bit much.
Peggy might have an opinion about that. But here's Carl's most recent book of poetry, too, A Blanket of the Night, which is his work. All right, let's get started. So the work in this show, as Carl said, it complements my painting work. These little images that I've made are all little silkscreens. Many of you in this room have received one or two in the mail, and they started as really just a way for me to document my life with my husband Eric, who's sitting in the back in the striped shirt, document our life here in Maine. And the images are very, they're autobiographical and personal to me in a way that the paintings aren't. So many of them have a little story about when Eric bought a tractor, or when Eric milked a cow, or when I did something like scythed a field and found a nest of eggs. So that's what they're about, and I'm not going to talk so much about the stories, but you can feel free to ask me about those. And I want to show you how I make them.
And many of those stories, by the way, are in the catalog. So
yeah, you can read about them there.
Pitch for the catalog too.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah. Eric, thank you for sharing this life with me and being the subject of many of the images. Okay, I'll get it together now. All right, let's get started with some pictures. So that first picture was our barn in Monroe, which is now being used by farmers who are taking over our old farm and in transition. And I just love that barn. It was what I think drew us to the property. And yeah, I brought to show you, this is an early self-portrait that I painted in 1994 of me in front of the barn. And you can take a look at it later, but I just really resonated with the power of that building and the years of activity that have happened by farmers using that barn. Okay, this print is my most recent print. It's called The Spell of the Orange Fox, and I printed this in December, around the solstice this past year. And, oh, I forgot to thank Karen and Mike and Catherine and Sarah. I'm looking right at you. But thank you for making me feel seen also. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to start here and talking about my process. This picture of a fox started in London. Eric and I were there last fall. And for those of you who maybe have been to London, in the city of London, you see foxes. And I was touring an old cemetery one day, and this fox was wandering around the cemetery in the middle of the day, and people who were there just couldn't believe it. So I took a lot of pictures, and this later turned into this print. So the next thing I did is when I got home, I did some gouache paintings. How many people here have heard the word gouache? Quite a few of you. It's like a watercolor, water-based medium, but a little more opaque. And you can work quickly. So these are very sketchy. And I decided to use a black paper. Often I print on white paper, but this one I really wanted it to have sort of a haunted feeling. So I decided to use the dark paper. So that picture went to these quick, little 5x7 paintings. And it eventually became that. I printed the same color inks that are there on a white paper just to see what would happen. So things like the shadow of the fox is created by the black paper, and of course here you see it as a white absence of paint. So,
cool.
All right, there's that beautiful barn. That's a drawing I did in 1994, just standing in front of our barn, and the picture. This drawing became this print, which is next door, called Barn Interior. It's a little bit bigger. And I think the barn is just constructed in a beautiful way. It's, would you call it timber frame, Eric?
Yeah, timber frame.
But it has a balloon something
Balloon
structure?
frame. Yeah.
Balloon frame. And in our neighborhood, there are a few, in Monroe, there are a few others, but the way those timbers are built and the hayloft, barn swallows swoop in there, and then, there's a window up high in the back of the barn that allows the sky to let the light in on the far side.
I love that little bit of blue right in the middle there.
That's kind of what it was about, that peekaboo window.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if you look up, you get a little seasick feeling by looking up at the height of the front of the barn. These are two sliding doors in front that
I love that kind of door.
Yeah.
Goes across like that.
Yeah.
And you've always been interested in architecture. I mean, I think of your libraries, your library series, of course.
Right. There's something about the way we inhabit rooms, and they're like portraits to me.
Yeah.
And I guess it's just a way to formally divide up the space the way an abstract painter would,
Sure.
by the shapes in the room.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, I've done many interiors. This is an interior from
Right.
from outside.
Yeah, from outside. Yeah.
All right, this one is called New Year's Eve 1995. I think it's one of the ones that's making its way around the room. Eric and I had a neighbor in Monroe. We were actually living in Montville at the time. Her name is Peggy McKenna. Some of you may know her. She was a well-known photographer in Waldo County, documented a lot of life and rural life and sports life in our county. She used to host a big bonfire every January, and she would invite a mix of people to come over. There'd be, 50 people in heavy coats drinking martinis outside or whatever they were drinking, and the fire would just be crackling, and it was that wonderful Maine community that we're also lucky to be part of woods workers and fisher people and poets and woods workers and small business owners, all gathered around this fire.
I love the concept of a bonfire too. I mean,
What
I
do
just
you
love
like
the
about it?
idea, just the gathering and the you're amassing all of this wood during the year, and then you're just waiting for that time to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sort of that's a special.
And we're drawn to fire.
We are.
Yeah.
But the way you've done it here with that sort of green interior, it's sort of a greenish interior there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah. I think I wanted something as a foil for the red of the flames.
Yeah.
So I started by just doing these pencil drawings, and I think I was trying to figure out, I wanted some silhouetted figures. How would the figures be standing? And I started to, this is how I often do it, I make notes to myself about which color is going to, there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which color is going to come first. At the very top it says pale to dark, so I'm always thinking about light. Where's the lightest light and where's the darkest dark? And this one is very much about, the intense light of the fire and the silhouetted forms. And a grease spot. So then that was probably the next drawing. And these are all very small. So I'm starting to think about color a little bit. I probably use colored pencil, oil pastels or something
Yeah,
for
it
that
looks
one.
like pastels. Yeah.
And then I just start printing, which I'll show you more about. This one is Winter Tractor 1995. Eric had a 1949 Ford 8N that he bought used probably through Uncle Henry's. Yeah. Did work for us for many years. And I just love the look of our sort of fallow fields in the winter here. So I started with a black and white drawing, which I often do, because then I don't have to think about color. I can just think about the composition and then add the color. The next one I drew was probably that, and I've got scratches to myself. Is it snowing? Is it sunny? Question mark. Add 3-point hitch. Is the shadow warm or cool? What kind of a day is this really? I wanted the grays of a sort of stormy Maine winter, but I wanted a shadow too. And so you've seen both of those, and it ended up as that.
I was looking at this the other day, and I was reminded that there was a photographer on MDI named Howie Matenko, and he was going to different islands, off islands, and asking people to identify something on their island that represented the island the best.
Ooh.
And on Great Cranberry, it was an old tractor. If you've ever been out there, it's just to the left of the landing, and it's sort of sunk into the shingle,
Yeah.
and it's rusty, and
Yeah.
you're like, but it is. It's just the island. It's
Yeah.
sort of, it has a past.
And
it
lots
has
of
a
people
history.
have noticed
And a lot
that
of
as
people
they
have
come
noticed
and
it,
go. Yeah.
So it has that kind of resonance that
Yep.
this tractor does too.
Yeah. Yep. I met Suzanne a few minutes ago, and you're a photographer. This print, which is called Winter Walk, was inspired by a photograph I saw in the New York Times. And this photographer, I just looked her up yesterday, Suzanne DiCillo. She photographed someone just taking a walk in Westchester, and I just was taken by that. So I used her photograph as the departure point for this print. So I did a drawing, which is pretty close to her photograph, but I made it into a night scene instead. So there's my notes to myself.
Minus moon.
That says to me that the first color I'm going to print is a midnight blue. Gonna make sure not to print it where I want the moon to be glowing. Minus moon.
Yes, I get you.
Then add the snow all over, a warm gray. Then add the moon radiating champagne. Then add the snow, darker, minus highlights. Mine must have had some highlights on the snow. For the trees, I wanted a dark gray, and the man or woman in brown, shadows. And then the last thing were the near trees and darks. So it ended up being quite a dark wintry scene.
There's a great mystery in this one, I think. Just the sticking, the posture of the figure. What is he or she doing?
Yeah.
Sort of testing the snow.
Yep.
Or is this helping them to walk? Or what's going on?
I'm glad you see mystery in it, because I wanted it to feel a little mysterious. And you know that feeling that we are lucky to have with our night skies of walking in winter and seeing our own shadow in the snow?
Yeah. Nothing like it.
Yeah. This is a little darker than that, but this person is making their way through that dark night. Okay, does anybody know the painting on the left by Jean-Francois Millet? Have you ever seen that? Yes, I see nods, yes. It's called The Sower. And when I first met Eric in 1983, one of our first dates was to see an exhibit of Jean-Francois Millet at the Boston Museum of Fine Arts. I think they have the largest collection of his paintings outside of France. And his prints too. But I wanted to, so when I made this print in 2004 of Eric doing the daily chore of splitting our firewood with an axe, I was very much thinking about this painting. So I just wanted to read you a description of the painting. This is 1850. The painting depicts a peasant in the act of sowing seed, apparently in winter. The sun rises at the top of the painting, which indicates that it is dawn. The sower is dressed in a typical peasant's attire, with his legs draped in straw to provide more warmth, walking in long strides, carrying a bag of seeds over his shoulder, while he is in the act of sowing his crops with his right hand. At the left of the painting, several crows appear scavenging the crops. At the right side in the distance, a man is seen harrowing the ground with his oxen for the sower's work. This painting is an unidealized depiction of the peasant's strength and hardworking lifestyle. So I
would have never known the straw on his boots.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sounds itchy. Do you see any relationship between those images now that I've said that, Carl?
Yeah, the red and blue for sure.
Yeah. I would have included the birds as a nod, and to me this painting is really about the motion of that figure working.
Yep.
And the colors definitely informed me.
So was this from a photograph or just from your head, just making it up?
It's often a combination. I'm sure I would have taken some photographs of Eric out there working. I remember you had we still have a red flannel LL Bean winter coat. And then, the movement of the figure, did I want him from the left or the right? How big would it be? Where would the shadow fall? I could change things like that.
I love something you told me when we were talking a while back there about how your husband used to joke that when you were in silkscreen season, you used to get a little angry because stuff was sort of flying here and there. And
I think it was more strongly worded than that. I would be swearing like a sailor, and Eric would say, "Is it going to be one of those days?" But
But you said it's over the years, it's kind of calmed down.
That's my interpretation. I don't know.
She used to have her studio in the house, so I could hear her during Silkscreen season quite clearly. Her current studio is in the barn, and I cannot hear. So I can neither confirm nor deny. Gotten better.
After 35 years for any of us. I hope we've achieved a little bit of mastery. I like that story too, Carl. Okay, cows in snowy field. These are a herd of Dexter Irish cows that Eric acquired and led to him becoming a cheesemaker. And that's a barn way in the distance, the barn in the same barn. And those cows, they were hardy. They would be out there all year long. They were great. Started as a drawing again. And I do take a lot of photographs also. So then it's a matter of moving things around, deciding where I want them, how, the cows get moved, how many of them do I want? I definitely wanted, that says waiting out the storm. I wanted a dark sky with the light snow. A quick, that looks like probably some kind of what do you call it? Colored pencil that's water soluble. You can draw and then use a brush afterwards.
And you eventually managed to find new people to take over your farm through the Maine Farmland Trust.
Exactly.
Is that right?
Yeah. Eric and I really, there were others who farmed our farm that we bought before us, and it was very important, particularly to Eric, who's done a lot of work in agriculture and advocacy, that our land stay farmland if we could pull it off financially and legally. So we partnered with Maine Farmland Trust, and there was another program, Land for the Future.
Yeah.
The idea is, are there creative ways to keep that land from being developed into parking lots and other things that humans need? And it was a success. It has been we cooperatively own it with these young farmers.
Okay.
They came to us through Maine Farmland Trust, the program that they have, FarmLink. I think it's called FarmLink.
FarmLink, right.
They've been there 10 years now. They have 2 children. They have employees. They've put multiple improvements to the farm, and we live next door in a teeny house that we go. On Wednesday, I walked down and picked up my CSA share from them, and I didn't have to do a lick of work.
That's wonderful.
Alison, before you go to the next one, when did you decide to put the brown cow in there? I love this print, one of my favorite ones, and that makes a big difference in your composition from your...
It would be very different. Are you drawn to it for color reasons or for form?
It's everything. They're like interacting together. Cozy cows, Well, and also there's like, they're communicating or something. I mean, there's a relationship between the cows, including the composition, taking you off to the barn in the corner in the background.
Yep. Let me go back a minute. I do have some lying down cows. I would have been thinking about, I liked the shape of the lying down, but the brown would definitely have been a color decision. Because without that, this is really very cool. I'm trying to block it. It's all blues and grays. Oh, thank you, Carl. Yeah. And I wanted some warmth. The other thing, this is a very good example of how we as visual people can create a sense of perspective or distance, because it's the trick to do high contrast, bold colors in the part of the picture you want to look at, to be read as the foreground, and then part of the image that you want to read as being further in the distance, less contrast, paler, softer. So I probably also wanted to anchor that corner with a bolder color. These are all pretty neutral colors, but I mean that's one of the kind of brightest colors in the picture. Yeah, in a way, I've put this cow in the middle, deliberately blocking you from looking through there. You have to look to the left or right, and which I think was just the format, the horizontal format. But thank you.
Are you always having to think those things, or they just, you don't have to think about them, you just want to change it up every time, right?
I think a lot.
And swear a lot, too.
And swear. But it's a happy day when something just accidentally happens, and I can't really remember how much of it was intellectual choice and just, instinct. Yeah.
And speaking of the format, you said when we talked, you talked about every year it's a different shape, depending on sort of what the picture is going to look like. And you've done these irregular ones and circular ones, and
yeah. I like that there's a variety. They do all fit into envelopes.
That's right, you had to have that.
Yeah, but you can see from the little pieces of paper passing around that they are, some are long and skinny or tall, others are square, and that's the fun of it.
Yeah, mix it up.
Mix it up, yeah. That's our dog Corky, and that led to me, we did take in a stray cat, it just appeared in the driveway as they do, and the cat actually liked snuggling with the dog, so that led to that black and white painting that became that, and fire again. All right, this is more recent. This one is called Migration. I'll skip ahead and then no, I don't need to. This is the print as it ended up, and this is 2021, so fairly recently. Eric and I are lucky to be able to spend some time on Cliff Island in Casco Bay, just renting a house out on an island in Maine, which we love. And there's that time of year when, migratory birds go through and the monarchs come through. And so I was thinking of that and just the larger idea of migration globally that happens in so many ways, human and animal. And then this one is very much about the color, the beautiful browns and purples of our seashore here with the intense color of the monarchs. To me, there's a big difference. Oh, sorry,
I was
Carl.
going to say,
between
some of
these
the
two.
shapes remind me of origami.
Yes, yeah.
Just the wonderful way.
I might have been thinking about that, or just Japanese printmaking. Particularly the way they're moving through space, that's probably not accurate of how a monarch would look, but
And that's
yeah.
what it's all about.
All right, I threw this in for humor. I did start making silkscreen prints as a teenager. There I am, 1974, with my Samsonite suitcase. These are two of my early ones. I think my cousin Sarah is here. I think this was our trip out west, maybe looking at buffalo out there. And as a child, my family had spent some time in Japan, and I think that was somewhat influenced by Japanese imagery. I was taught to make silkscreen prints by my high school art teacher, John Bledsoe. And that's from my high school yearbook, but he was our public school art teacher. And he taught me a skill that I'm still using now, 50 years later. And Mr. Bledsoe, John. And I lost touch with him for a long time, but we reconnected over Facebook, or I tried to find him. I periodically would stop in and say hello, and then he retired. He came to Maine on vacation probably about 5 years ago. He was in his 80s, and we spent a day together. We went to Courthouse Gallery together in Portland, had lunch, and I was able to thank him.
Yeah, incredible.
And then he passed away a couple years later, and I was so glad that we had that time together.
Yeah, it's so meaningful to have that kind of encouragement and guidance that when you're really so open to things.
Yeah. Okay, let me show you how I make a print. So I start by preparing all the paper, and a lot of these prints have 8, 9, 10 color layers. I'm going to show you how I do those layers. So I have to prepare all the papers, and I know what shape I want, and I usually get Archie's paper or Reeves paper, some kind of acid-free paper, a large sheet, and then I fold and tear it or cut it into the sizes that I want. So by then I already have an idea of what the composition is going to be, but it can take me a good day or two just to prepare the papers. This is my screen, and again, I'm going to show you, but silkscreen is basically a stenciling method. So unlike a block print or a potato print, where you're carving out and taking away, with silkscreen, it's like a stencil. You are blocking out the places you don't want ink to go, and you're leaving the screen, which is silk or now often nylon, a polyfill, you're leaving it open, and that's where the ink will pass through and make a print, which I will show you. But I use a brush-on block-out material, and because it is easy to apply. So the bright red fluid here that I'm painting onto my screen is blocking out the areas. And Bruce, this is actually the collaboration you and I did together of your poem Candles in the Snow. There was a tree, there's an apple tree in the image. I am blocking out the areas around the tree, and the white part of the screen will become the tree that I will print onto a piece of paper that shares Bruce's poem on it. There's the stacks of paper. I've printed some colors, so I might have 300 stacks of paper, sheets of paper that I'm using to print. I've got a mixture of paint colors that I'm mixing up in the screen with the blocked out. I'm probably thinking about what color do I need here and how am I going to mix it using the store-bought colors, which are a water-based silkscreening ink. There we are. I wanted some kind of a blue. This was my studio at Waterfall Arts in Belfast, where I had space at that time. There's this. So in this case, Bruce and I forget how the collaboration started, but we had Bruce's poem typeset onto the sheets of paper. We decided we wanted to work together, and Bruce shared his poem with me. And after the typesetter, letterpress person printed the poem, I then did the image printing on that same paper. And I have to allow, with the swearing like a sailor, I have to allow for a certain number of them that I'm going to misregister, they're not going to line up quite right, or there's going to be a blurb of ink in the wrong place, and all those get torn up or discarded. So, I might print 300 to end up with 250, something like that.
And were these folded to be mailed?
They were folded to go in the mail, and then some of them stayed flat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the funny clothesline here, that's my system for drying.
Sure.
They get hung up like clothes in my studio. Yep. That's probably a little paint. Sometimes I'll get halfway through the printing process and I'll paint on it some more to see where I want to go next.
Alison, the first photo in the series, did you take out the apple tree with the nib of a pen?
No. Good, excellent question, Sue. So I can show you when we go over to the table.
Okay.
You've got the right idea, because the idea is that you don't want the ink. You want the ink to go in those areas.
Right.
So in a block, you would carve out everything but that.
Right.
So you're saying, how did I get that skinny line? And I just do it carefully. There is a product that, it's a positive, negative thing, that you can paint on the positive image that you want to print. It's a different fluid by the same company. Then you put that red coating on top of it and it resists it, and then you can wash out where the line is. I've used it some, but it doesn't give me the detail that I want, so I usually just end up doing it by hand. So to answer your question, I'm not carving it away, but I'm being very careful that that red block out doesn't cover the screen that I want the ink to pass through.
You're painting the negative.
I'm painting the negative space.
Okay.
Well said. Does that make sense?
Alison, do you draw the part that you want to print onto the screen first?
No. The screen is very transparent. So if those drawings that I showed you early on, they're underneath it, and I can see it, and then I can see, well, you can imagine, I can see through the screen, and then I can use that as a guide to paint out
like
everything.
tracing paper.
Tracing paper. I use tracing paper a lot. Yeah. Yeah. So here I am with my squeegee starting to print and hang them up, and there's some drying there. They're drying everywhere. This is a little video. I hope I can get it to play. Just try pushing. So I had most of the color printed. It was the final black layer that I was doing.
Fantastic.
So it is layers of color. This is some layers of color for an image called Spring Rain over Camden. It's from the top of Mount Batty looking down towards the village. These are the early stages. So, and there's a portfolio next to Mike on the desk there. You can see every stage. These numbered pages are right there in that book if you want to look. But let's say I want to have 100 copies of this print. I already told you the swearing, all that. So I might have 150 pieces of paper. I'll start the first day, paint my block out on, paint 150 pages with this blue, it's the water ultimately. Those dry for a day. So now I've got a stack of paper with 150 blue C's. The next day, I wash my screen out. The old stencil is gone. I use the block out to, the next layer was the pale green there. I have my 150 pieces of paper, repeat. And I do that, you know, for most of these prints, so they're each an individual color layer, and if I have 8 or 10 colors, it just happens by adding the layers of color.
So how do you keep each piece in the right registration?
Yes.
How do you match your registration mark?
That's the tricky part, because probably all of you know what Karen means by the printmaker's term registration, but it basically means how do you line it up perfectly, like Escher, a master of registration, and Japanese master printmakers. How does it fall exactly where it should? And I can show you, it's tracing paper, I can see through it. When I paint that fluid, the stencil onto the screen, I'm marking where I need to position my paper. We'll see that when I make the print today. If I don't line it up exactly, if for some reason I shift my paper 1/8 of an inch in the wrong direction, the registration is going to be off. And that green sky is going to be too far over here and it won't fit together. I think part of the charm of these prints is they're not perfect and they allow for some wabi-sabi looseness.
Artistic license, it's called.
Artistic license, yeah. They're actually not perfectly registered, but I think that's okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Good question, Aaron.
It sort of makes each one unique, right? I mean, each one is,
Each print unique?
yeah,
Yes.
because
They're not exactly the
I
same.
mean, you're not, it's not like going through a machine. It's,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, right. And I have wondered, I know if you're pulling a print from a woodblock or that it deteriorates over time.
Right.
So the first print in the edition is a different print than the last one and maybe more valuable for that reason.
Right, right.
With my prints, you know, I don't always make sure that first piece of paper, when I print the first color, is also the first piece of paper in the second layer of color. So it becomes a melange of those.
Yeah.
So I don't know how the numbering, all of these are numbered and are limited editions, but as you say, each one is a little bit unique.
Yeah. Did I see on one of them like an advanced proof or something? AP? Or
Yes, sometimes I do. That is particularly if I'm doing some hand drawing, or if it's the registration isn't right. I keep some of those, and I might mark it as an artist proof, knowing
Artist
that
proof,
it's
I mean.
imperfect.
Yeah, artist proof, right.
Yeah. I think we have a short video here. This is the Monarch print, how I did the layers.
So is each layer a different day?
Yeah, occasionally I'll do 2 on a day. The ink needs a couple hours to dry if it's a nice, warm, sunny summer day. But it really does, kind of cures a little bit if I do one. And also my wrists just get tired if I do too many in a day. So, yeah. Any other questions? We're almost done with the slides. There's one more short video, and then I think this print is called New Day Dawning. It was from 2020, and it was inspired by a friend's house in Surrey, on the coast in Surrey, Maine, so just a little south of here. And I think I've broken this one apart too. So I'll do it one more time when I start. So first there's the orange, then there's the pale green. And you almost don't even see that pale green by the end, but I needed it for the moon. Do it one more, see if I can do it one more time. Let's see. Okay, thank you, Courthouse Gallery, and all of you. And if you would like to stay, I'd love to show you how to make a print. And if you don't want to stay, that's fine too. Go next door and take a look at the show. And I'm happy to answer any more questions. blocked out the area on this print that I want us to print today. And I could block out the whole area, but I've also just masked areas with a piece of paper on the back. So the only places that our ink is going to come through today are the parts that look like white here. It hasn't been carved away. The screen is open here, and the ink will pass through, whereas the ink will not pass through the areas with the red.
Right.
Okay. If you do get on any ink on you, don't worry, this is all water soluble and will wash out. Okay, so I've pre-mixed a sort of pretty gray that I like, and I'm just going to put it right on here. I'll use more of that. This is my teeniest squeegee, but I think I'll use this one too. No, maybe I'll use this one. And got to put a piece of paper underneath it. So how do I want to reveal this to you? I think I'll do one. I'm going to do one. I have 3 color layers on this. I'm going to do one that's just this. Okay, squeegee, put it across. The ink has passed through. The paper is now stuck here because of that ink. Okay, that is just the gray that I painted here. But what this is I hope that you will see a little bit of Courthouse Gallery building.
Fantastic.
And so, you can see the difference between printing on a white paper, and I really liked the gray paper.
Yeah.
So that your paper choice will make a difference too. And before I got here for our world premiere, I printed the white ink one day and then a little bit of pale blue. So there are 2 colors that happened before you got here today. And today we're adding the dark gray. And Karen, here is number 1 of 8 for you.
Wow. Thank you.
All right, so would anybody like to try?
I would.
Like a squeegee. Yeah. So, and as I say, you guys get to take these home. I did print a bunch with the 3 colors, but what you are going to be printing, Catherine, this is Catherine who designed and put together the catalog book.
And one of the artists here.
And one of the artists, you can see her work here. So this, it's hard to see. Can you see the white ink on there? It's
Yes.
white on white. Registration. This is high tech. I just line it up with that. And this was where the other gray paper went. These have curled a little bit, but
No swearing.
no swearing. I don't mind.
I'm just kidding.
All right, now when you push, I'm gonna let me give you a little more ink.
So many
When you push, you
stages.
need to, I'll do one more. And then
Okay.
when you push, you don't have to put a lot of pressure, but you just have to kind of think about I'm drawing it evenly across here.
Okay.
And if you don't do it evenly, that's fine too. Okay. All right, Catherine, and there's enough for all of us to do it and take one with you. So, yep. Perfect. This is here to keep it up a little bit.
Okay.
You want a little bounce in the screen. There you go. Hard? Nope, you don't have to do it too hard. You've got the touch.
Whoa.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Yep, that's okay. Yep. Just put it up there, try not to fling some paint at Bruce.
Drum roll.
Okay, drum roll.
Ooh.
Very pretty. Where do we put it?
Someplace to dry. It'll be
Okay.
tacky in an hour.
Okay.
The dashboard of a car is perfect for drying. All right, who else would like to try? Come on up. Is there someone behind me?
Anything else there?
So you're going to line it up with my little pencil marks there. And this shows how, what Karen asked about tracing. There's me tracing and drawing, and then you can see some of the fluid. And just line it up in the corner. Perfect. That's perfect. This is Janet. Yep, and it moves around. Yeah, and it's a curly paper. It wants to dance around it. Here, you got it. Okay, put this down. Now, I'm going to give you. Let's think back over here. I usually, you can pull the squeegee in either direction, but I like to put it from top down. Okay, there you go. Okay. And yeah, just you don't have to be hard, but just even.
Got scared there.
You did it. Just put that up there. Okay, let's see what you got.
Ooh.
Lovely.
You're hired. Thank you. Come on up.
We're nearby and she works cheap.
Yeah.